Come back again. This is the third and final installment of Zostrianos. A very interesting but also very frustrating chapter. A very long, repetitive, heavily broken. But it does have some very interesting concepts in there and very interesting information about Zostrianos' journey. So let's just bring that back onto the screen again. Zostrianos' journey, which is again an otherworldly journey, which is experiencing ascent, effectively, from the earth plane into various levels and states, 13 eons between the earth and the first major level, which is called autogenes or autogenes, and then protophanes or protophanes, and then calyptos being the final one. And he gets various baptisms as he traverses this. And we get back to, I think it was the chapter which speaks about Barbelo now. So this is talking about Barbelo being, which is the virginal spirit, which is this one, divine manifestation. It's a divine spirit. So this was the creation of the divine one as an eon that would be the conduit through which all things would be manifest. So this is the eons, the worlds, the universes, everything. So this is the second one, if you like, second pre-existent one. And it's kind of, in some ways, worshipped or deified by Zostrianos, which was something I wasn't totally agree with, really. But we'll continue. So we were down to, I believe, slide 20. Let's get down to where we were. Nope, I wasn't there. I think I've just missed exactly where we were. Okay, yeah, we were down to this one, slide 24. So we went. This is the introduction of Barbelo, so we'll move on to the next slide, which is slide 25. Okay, this is the emergence of calyptos. And thanks for anyone who's actually listening and joining this. It's very hard work listening to these three particular videos. Is very difficult to follow, even for me, and I've written this, and because the chapter is it's a hard chapter to read. It does have some excellent information in there and things to contemplate, but it's a difficult one to follow. So thank you for those who do listen to the set of three videos here. Okay, the emergence of calyptos. Having supplemented him, he came into existence, appeared as a second mentality, appeared through the one who foreknows him. So the one who foreknows him is the divine, a secondary form of his knowledge. Truly existent ones rest upon calyptos. So this is talking about Zostrianos now looking at calyptos, the third and final realm or level of ascent that is achieved before one totally integrates with the divine itself. She is the introspection of the God. So he's talking about Barbelo here. So Barbelo is there in the same realm as an eon in calyptos. She was called Barbelo by virtue of thought. So she came into being by the virtue of the thought or intention of the divine. A virginal male of three kinds, originated lest she be drawn down. So she originated from the divine, and it's up to her. Lest means should one lean towards being drawn down into the depths of that which is being created. She is simple, become better than those when she revealed her product. So she's better. She is an eon that manifested various things being product. She became a third eon. She's actually a second eon. Two differences in form among eons. One hand, she is the first eon with the second image. Another way, she is truly the blessed. She is truly the blessedness within the Henad. It came to rest the first divine calyptos activity, kind, and species. So effectively, this is saying that she was a second image of the divine first image, which was the divine God itself. And then she became an eon, a being of divine expression, a first one, if you like. Okay, calyptos praises her source. So calyptos is a realm, is a level of ascent. It's the final level of ascent, which is called the invisible one. and Barbelo is in that layer or level of ascent. So Calyptos is being referenced to Barbelo here as well. A perception of the truth of that all-perfect one said by way of praise. You are great, Armaphredon. This is another Aeon. You are perfect, Nephredon. Great Diaphanes. So these are different names, I think, for Aeons, Aeonic names for the divine. Activity and life and divinity. Great Harmedon, which is another word for the one, which is the divine source. So again, it's repeating many Aeonic names for what is simply for us the divine grace, the divine source, the one force, our Godhead. That is what this is. Of course, I've given 4 different names there for the same thing. But again, there are multiple Aeons representing that here. All glorious one, Ephaneus, blessedness, and the perfection of the unity which belongs to the single one unified. She who has known that one has known itself, know herself as his activity. So she knows herself because she knows the one that created it, and she is in turn an aspect, a product of the divine activity, which was a thought and intention for her to exist, or for the Aeon to exist. Okay. The revelation of the luminaries of the Barbelo Aeon. The Calyptos Aeon, angels and daemons, minds, souls, living creatures, trees and bodies, simple elements, simple principles that are in mixture. So effectively the Aeon is said to have all of these manifestations from there and also below, I would suggest. And they are all in mixture, means they all are mixed into one realm called this eternal universe. That are unmixed, air and water, earth and number, breath and all the rest. There are 4 powers. These are the additional Aeons. In the 4th Aeon, in the totalities, the power of powers, souls of the souls, there are those that are as if generated, that are holy and eternal, changeless within change, exist as wholes, primary ones that stand at rest. If we stop there, this is essentially saying those that have achieved Calyptos have achieved ascent and integration into the divine one. This is simply describing in many different ways what that means. Standing at rest, existing as a whole, a changeless within a change, holy and eternal. These are just descriptions of what it is to be in this realm, this level and state of ascent. Secondary ones among them all. They stood at rest upon the 4th Aeon. They dwell the whole, since it is scattered abroad. Do not conflict with one. 2 are alive, inhabit a single Aeon of Calyptos. Calyptos is a single Aeon, contains 4 Aeons. Each has capabilities, not like first and seconds. Differ merely in rank and glory. So effectively there are more Aeons in this layer. Barbelo is one of them. They all represent something. They're different in rank and glory, which basically means what they represent. Others that are within the 4th Aeon, all of them exist in unity, perfected in fellowships. They're effectively saying lifting unity means they're just expressions of the divine, the one. Perfected in fellowship, which means they are all co-joined. There is no expression that is singular and can operate on its own. It is all part of the one. Filled with Aeons, there are those among them that have come to stand, are actively exist secondarily, which means they exist because the divine manifested them, so they're not the pre-existent firsts. They're what we may call pre-existent seconds, with an imperishable body and unconsuming. Okay, let's continue. The ideal cosmos of the Calyptos Aeon and the modes of non-being Victorinus. Again, this is, I believe, the one. And he stands all living creatures. All living creatures are existing individually, although unified. Knowledge of the knowledge, as well as the basis of ignorance. Chaos is there, so this is the chaos in the realm of ignorance. Place for all of them, it being complete while incomplete. So this is talking about the universe is complete, but there is life and living creatures within it that are not complete. Complete just means to realign and resync and ascend into our divinity. True light enlightened darkness, together with non-existent, but he is the good, derives what is God and pleasant, that which is great, for there is nothing partial, formed together with the God of that one, superior to God. So this lowercase g, together with the God of that one. That just means, I think this is talking about Barbelo, and that one is the divine. So it's together. He has not commingled with anything, alone in himself, is limitless limit, self-seer and God revealer. Okay. Barbelo praises herself and the invisible spirit. Having empowered him who knows, Barbelo glorified herself as she said, he is alive, I am alive in unity. He who is, 3, the triad, thrice, what wisdom, mind, knowledge, and doctrine. So effectively, she's realizing her creation and manifestation. She's praising herself, and through that praising the divine that manifested it. The 4 luminaries of the Calyptos Aeon. These are all the glories. Glories are the luminaries. They are the Aeons. Remember that every layer has Aeons. And these are the 4 that it was referring to previously, the 4 Aeons, or the 4 luminaries of the Calyptos level of ascent. They are Aphrodons, which are ineffables, revealers, immutables, limitless solmices, the Malcedons, hidden ones. So there you have three of them there, I think. Amedon, solmices, and Malcedons, the hidden ones. Limits that exceed the limits, complete glory. Whenever it can be harnessed and controlled, it enters a body and material transformation. They do not a body and a material transformation. They do not receive great honor for their all perfection. To each Aeon has 10,000 Aeons in itself. May collectively become a complete Aeon. Dwells in the blessedness, invisible triple-powered spirit silence of the God. As you can see, each Aeon has 10,000 Aeons in itself. These are just aspects and attributes, conceptual things for help us understand. The chapter doesn't go into describe thousands and millennia, millions of or thousands of Aeons. It just describes the major ones. But this is effectively supporting what I'm saying, is that these are concepts. They're not real deifications that we are to worship. They are concepts. They are to help those of the time and also us understand the many attributes of understanding what the divine is. And this is why they created. The Protophanes Aeon has the image of Calyptos. A silence of the second knowledge. Protophanes is the second level. He commanded her to know him so that he might become all perfect. Receive goodness through the successor of the Barbelo Aeon. Aeons that truly exist abide silently, having come from the fourth, the thought of his thought, the Protophanes, the great perfect male, Amedon. He is his image. Like him, he possesses them all, alive, dwelling together in unity with the Aeon within the Aeons. Share a fourfold difference. Calyptos truly exists. Yoel, the male virginal glory, through whom are seen all the perfect ones that stand before him there. The defined child, triple male, and the self-generated one possesses 3 within 1. 3 of the 3 levels. Again, this is just talking about the level again referring to the divine one through which it's all traversing up towards. It's repeating effectively what we've already read before. There's nothing new to be gained from that passage for me personally. Okay, the 4 Aeons of the Protophanes Aeon. So this is again describing further Aeons of the level Protophanes, which is the second level. So it does flit around the third, the second, the first, and the third, and the second. It kind of moves around a lot, this chapter. It's a difficult one to follow. The first Aeon inhabiting him, first luminary, Solmis, God revealer, according to Calyptos and Doxamedon, second Aeon, is Archemon, Zakthos, and Yakthos. third Aeon is Ambrosius, the Virgin, Sethius, and Antiphantes, which is the fourth Aeon, is a triple-gendered blesser, fourth luminary, Seldau, and Elenos. Again, there's eons and eons and eons and eons. It's difficult to follow. I am going to plot every single Aeon as far as I can extract from this scripture. I'm going to plot them all the way from the divine grace down, and I'm going to put them out there so that everyone can understand. And also myself, we can understand what these all are and bring them into context. The Aeon of the self-generated one and its four sub-Aeons. Since all the individuals were existing as perfect ones in the self-generated realm, which is the first realm, so you're the perfect Aeon, or you're a perfect individual when you achieve the first level of ascent. For the self-generated one, he stands within an Aeon containing four generated Aeons. The first Aeon in him of the first luminary is Harmozel, Orneos, Othronios, second is Doriel, Judas, third is Davaeth, Lorenus, Ephenios, Adios, fourth Aeon is Eleleth, Coder, Epheneos, and Ologenius. This is all very Greek, by the way, Greek naming, I would suggest, but it's also, these are the Aeons that dwell in all of the levels. The three levels, and also the other Aeons between Earth and the first level, which is autogenes. Okay, conclusion, those that reside in matter. Now all the others that reside in matter were all persistent, transcending, knowledge of majesty, audacity and power. They came into existence. They did not know God. They shall pass away. Behold, Zostrianos, things of which the gods are ignorant and that are undefined but for angels. So this is virtually saying that that which is in the material realm and that which is attached and cycles into the material realm has a chance of transcending, but they do not know what the word of God is. And also the archons and the demiurge are unable to see high frequency light because they're ignorant of the true frequency of the divine force, and therefore the lowercase gods here are archons and the demiurge. And undefined angels are those angelic forms that the demiurge also created, trying to mirror the above and so below. Okay, Zostrianos' response to the luminary's revelation. As for me, I became bold and said, I am still wondering about the triple-powered, invisible, perfect spirit. So he's still asking questions to the Aeons about the Divine One. How it exists for itself, for them all. What is the place of that one, and of what sort is it? After I said these things, I was greatly glorified, and they set me down and departed. So that means, greatly glorified means that they imparted further knowledge into him. There I saw all of them dwell in unity. I united with them all. Calyptos Aeon, virginal Barbelo, the invisible spirit. I was inscribed in glory and sealed. Then I received a perfect crown. So he doesn't actually transcend into these layers. He then is given knowledge and pseudo kind of baptisms of the protophanes and also the Calyptos level of ascent, where he was able to see what they were and what they represented. Zostrianos' descent from the Aeons and recording of the revelation. So this is Zostrianos' descent back down from his otherworldly experience in whatever state he was having this experience. This is his coming down from the experience and coming back into the physical world in which he is having the life experience as Zostrianos. I came forth to the perfect individuals. And he starts his ascent down from the perfect individual, so from autogenes, he starts his ascent down. Them questioning me, listening to the majesty. When I again came down to the self-generated Aeons, I received a true image, pure, worthy of perception. Came down thence to the atmospheric realm being that of earth. I wrote 3 tablets. These are called steles, and then left them as known for those who would come after me. So he wrote them, and I think he wrote them in wood. The living elect, down to the perceptible world, put on my image. It was unrestricted. I empowered it, went about preaching, angelic beings, nor the archon saw me, I nullified a multitude of disgraces. So effectively what he's saying is that he had, in the very end of all of this, he had this otherworldly experience. He was transcending through many eons, many levels of ascent. He was being baptized, in other words, given knowledge about each level as he ascended upwards, all the way to the final layer called Calyptos, passing through Protophanes the second, passing through Autogenes the first, and passing through the 13 Aeonic atmospheric realms to get to the first layer of Autogenes. Understanding what all of those were, through the waters he was being blessed, which means he was given knowledge. Waters is another word for light and information. He was being nourished by knowledge, foreknowledge and knowing of the divine. From each level, he was asking questions, bringing forth eons that resided in each of those levels, each of those different states of ascent. There is an eon or many eons residing there. He was asking questions of them. He was bringing them forward. He was being glorified, which also means imparted upon, knowledge shared, and being crowned, which means he was crowned within the autogenes level of ascent, or a state of ascension that it was perceived in his otherworld experience that he had achieved. And so then he came down from that experience back into the earth plane, wrote down everything he had learned in steles or in wood to scribe them for eternity, which is what steles actually is. It can be wood, it can be stone, anything of permanence. And he went around preaching, but after the experience, he put on his image. So it says here, put on my image. He effectively embraced his entire spirit and started to practice the state of ascent that in his otherworldly experience it was said that he was achieving, which was the autogenes experience, which was ascent, which was he had achieved the state of ascent that no longer required him after this life that he was living to be in a material form anymore. Incarnational cycles he had been released from that. In Hinduism it's called moksha. And that's what this is, and that I believe is the final chapter on this. So Zostrianos issues a call to the awakening. So he's written his words, and now he calls to the masses to hear his words. But an errant multitude I awakened, and errant means those who are not necessarily eager to hear. Saying, understand you are alive, holy seed of Seth. So Seth, remember, is the God of the third son of Adam and Eve. The Sethian races are those who were the bloodline who were of Christ consciousness, who were always evolving or cascading messages out. Awaken your divine part as divine, empower your sinless elect soul, seek immutable ungenderedness. The Father of all these invites you as he awaits you. He will not abandon you. Do not baptize yourselves with death nor entrust in things inferior. This is saying, leave the attachment to the physical world, or the attachment to physicality and everything that it brings. Choose salvation. You have not come to suffer. This is true. We have not come to suffer. We have come to experience our suffering. Suffering for me is when we move ourselves on divergent paths of physical life experience that are so far away from the life we intended to live. And that is always, usually, I would say every aspect of intention of life is to follow your divine and connect with your spiritual force and ascend, start the ascension. As we move away from that, the more we move away from this only intention that we will take away with us when we die, life becomes more and more challenging. More and more stones are thrown in the tranquil waters of our own river, causing waves and turbulence. The more we move away, The opposite, also, if we move all the way through 180 degrees, we go towards darkness, dark practices. And then we move towards worshipping darker entities and different gods, lowercase g. So this is what it means by you are not here to suffer. We are not. Come to escape your bondage. Release yourselves, which has bound you will be nullified. Kind Father has sent you a Saviour. Now this is triple male child, cross consciousness. These steles, these messengers, the avatars throughout the world, all the messages need to coalesce together. Remember, study and absorb all knowledge. It's like the Aeonic transcendence, and going through those things, they are teaching Zostrianos different aspects of knowing and knowledge as the ascension passes and cascades upwards. This is the same for knowledge in this universe. Everything we need to know is already here. Everything we need to know and to understand ascent, to understand the divine, everything that we seek, constantly seeking, is already here. It's available to us to understand, and the knowledge is out there in this world. Just be open to receive it, absorb it, stand on no stone on the river, move a lot around these stones. Stand on no physical one forever. Once it's served its purpose, move to the next. So a continual ascent, continual expansion. This is the movement through these 13 eons, if you want to call them 13 eons, atmospheric realms of ascent, that which we are learning here now as we move through life. Okay. Why do you hesitate? Seek when you are sought. Great is the eon of the eons of the living ones. This is the Barbelo. Chastisers surround you. Behold the light, flee the darkness. And that is where it ends. So I think this last passage is actually the most meaningful passage of the entire chapter. And it's taken 3 videos to actually explain this entire chapter. But this final passage explains more than all the other videos, I would suggest. It gives you more. The other ones are just going through his ascent, and then obviously the descent in the previous page, the previous slide. But the overall image is come down to cascade his experience onto others and share it, which is what we're supposed to do. We are supposed to share and cascade everything we learn. We are not here to deify anything. We are here to take awareness and knowledge and start to become that knowledge, to become our spirit, which is what the second coming is. It's our own individual coming into divine frequency, remember. And this is what second coming is. That I constantly push. And Mahanji is, again, I love this statement. I like to remind everyone of it all the time. Practice what we preach. Don't just perform rituals, go to church here and there if that's your thing. Become and make it part of life. Otherwise, the ascent that we're seeking will not occur. We can only ascend if we are becoming that which we are learning, contemplating, as this chapter is saying. Contemplate everything and absorb it and become it. And make your actions, words, thoughts and intentions an expression of that. Don't let this physical world override what you are becoming. You have to become, and you have to practice in everything that every action, word, thought and intention in life needs to express from here. Remember the Trinity of the spirit, the heart and the mind. The shaft is the body of experience, how we interact with this world. Okay, and I want to say again, this is the book that if you're interested, it does go through much of what I do talk about, incarnation, life, death, tendencies, karma, and much more. It's a very short book, very precisely written. If it appeals to you, the things that we talk about, or what I share in terms of my own knowing and the channel that I receive, feel free. It's on ebook and on Amazon. It's not expensive. I priced it accordingly, but it's not about money. It's all about passing on information. So I almost have to say I've given more away free than I've ever sold. So this is all about my knowledge share. But if it interests you, look it up. And I would say thank you to anyone who does spend their hard-earned money on anything actually that I may produce, or anyone. And again, if you have anything, any suggestions, any comments, anything you'd like me to cover, any subjects, anything to explain, please, I'd love to hear from you on any of this Facebook Messenger or the email that you're seeing there. And I just want to say thank you again for listening. It has taken a long show to go through all three videos to explain and go through Zostrianos. It's a very long chapter, heavily broken, very repetitive, but it has some very interesting and very contemplative information in there that we can extract. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you for giving me your time and your patience and your grace. And I want to say God bless to you all, and enjoy the rest of your day or weekend or whatever you're doing when you're watching this. And I say thank you and God bless.